So I would say one of the leading principles is the first question is, when something gets out of balance, is what can we introduce? Instead of how can we control this thing that's out of balance, how can we kill the thing, suppress the thing, control the thing, it's what can we introduce to put it back in balance. So it's like an initial stepping back, observing the dynamic and questions, asking questions. That sort of underlines, I would say, everything. Yeah, that's what we're going for.
Right.
Diversify, diversify, diversify. That's the whole approach.
What do you think spurred your dad to start an organic orchard?
You know, I think he talks about, I think he's truly in love with biology. Like, I think he was always really kind of passionate about the relationships between different species and how they benefit each other, you know, symbiotic relationships in nature. I think it was always a source of inspiration for him.
The systems approach,
Yeah.
which works really nicely in an orchard. Right?
Yeah, and I think a certain repulsion from toxic chemicals that's just sort of inherent. And
For organic.
we have a niche for organic. I would love to see the whole valley go organic.
You and me both. Hazelnuts were washed.
Yeah, and it's one of the hardest pieces. It's the processing that's been such a huge barrier for a lot of small organic guys, is finding somewhere to, and gals, finding somewhere to get your nuts cleaned and dried organically, that has an organic certification, because all the processors bottleneck at harvest and they just get full.
And do you just do your own farm?
We just do our own farm. Yeah, we don't have a permit to do outside of our own farm.
So how many other organic hazelnut growers are there around you, and do you guys meet?
We do. I was on the board for the Oregon Organic Hazelnut Cooperative, which is now a nonprofit. It's functioning as a nonprofit, so now we're just an advisory committee. And we meet once a month and just sort of network. We plan a summer tour and a winter tour, and just try and bring together everything that we can.
Okay. You're not concerned with the competition of growth from the cover crop and the tree?
I'm not.
Because I hear this in conventional
Yeah.
all the time.
I think maybe if you had a soil that had been on a nitrogen drip, like you had trees that were used to getting a direct input, a hit of synthetic nitrogen, and all of a sudden you took that away and you started growing cover crop, I imagine that some of that growth that had grown really fast would suffer. You know, you'd see some. But if you do it from the beginning, I mean, their root system is adapted to pulling nutrients out of rich soil. They're not really... It's not just the top that looks different, it's the bottom that looks different. The nitrogen is part of why we plant it in the smaller trees, is because we plant some legumes, you know, some peas, some vetch, some that is a nitrogen fixation out in the smaller trees. So we do like that. That's a big added bonus. We don't, when we have grown cover crop in the small trees, we don't harvest the cover crop and sell it separately. It all goes into the soil. So the function of the cover crop we grow is to feed the soil. Yep. So this cover crop too is naturalized. Like, we didn't have to plant it this year.
Wow.
So it had previously been planted in like a winter rye, a vetch, and a pea mix. And you see some of that, but also just dandelions and daisies and clover
and the vetch and the pea stay for the years, or do they last for the years, or does it tend to be just rye towards
what comes back?
Yeah.
It tends to just be grass. Yeah, and this isn't even a winter rye anymore. See, he mowed 2 patches and couldn't do it. It's just too wet. It's too wet, too thick. Yeah. Yep. So we'll mow it when it gets dry. You know, last year we were mowing now in the areas where we don't have sheep. You know, in the smaller trees where we can't have sheep because they would damage the trees. So we just have cover crop planted. We'll start mowing that as soon as it dries out, as soon as we can get out there. Hopefully it's not too high for the tractor. And we'll mow it, and it acts as a mulch, and it slowly breaks down and feeds the soil and it's got nitrogen in it and nutrients. It's great.
And
We use it for all those
then you
things.
just
Weed
vacuum up the
suppressant.
nuts from on the top of that mulch.
No, it goes into the soil,
Okay.
and then we flail over it.
Okay.
He'll scrape if it's real uneven, but in the baby trees, it hasn't been super necessary, but he'll scrape some and then flail and scrape. We don't actually have to harvest on that that sort of bowling alley look. We can harvest on a little bit. It's just slower and dirtier. It's just a messier, slower process. We're not as fast as the big conventional guys. But he'll mow it and it'll just mulch it, kind of break down, and then it'll get flailed and scraped flat enough to harvest on.
Ah, cool.
Yep. And we just hope for a dry harvest year.
Oh.
It can rain all it wants right now, but if it would quit
Well,
mid-September, early September.
We're forecasting that.
So at this point in the mature trees, the cover crop is naturalized. It just comes back on its own every year and we're not replanting it. So the only time we replant a cover crop is if we're pulling out old trees and planting new trees, or in the younger trees where there's a lot of sunlight and there isn't much of a canopy in the summer. We've been planting a cover crop in the 6-year-old trees and in the 3-year-old trees. What about rodents with cover crops? The predator poles is our main thing for that.
So you haven't noticed that you had a lot of destruction. You don't.
No.
You don't irrigate. Well, you do irrigate.
We irrigate the baby trees, yeah, where we have the cover crop planted. We do irrigate those. We do not irrigate the mature trees at all.
And rodents don't bug the
They bother a little bit, they do, but they're kind of a part of the whole thing.
Yeah,
We have a lot of coyotes. I mean, we were just having a picnic out there this week and there was a coyote standing during the day watching us. Like we have, there's coyotes out there for sure.
I bet there's foxes out there.
There's
too.
foxes out there.
Right.
Yeah, and then there's the predator poles almost always have somebody sitting on them. Yeah.
Great.
Red-tailed hawks,
Uh-huh.
probably one of our main birds.
Okay.
And we do, I mean, we shoot squirrels and we trap gophers and we shoot gophers. So we have had to do that. And we use, there's a bait that you can use. Agrid 3 is a certified organic bait that has to be in a box. And we use that in buildings, but not out in the field. Yeah. There's the predator pole there. And he moves them around and takes them down sometimes because they get in the way of mowing. But there's one, and you see another one out there. No, no.
So to get kestrels up there too?
We do.
Okay.
Yep, osprey come over the orchard.
Kidding.
Yeah,
Where's the river?
right down here.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, really close. So with the filbert worm, we have had to use some of the sprays and trust, Pygantic, but we introduced a bunch of bat boxes. Bats eat like 12,000 insects a night. I mean, just they have an enormous, and we've got several established and we know that they're being used. Predator birds. Another thing that could really help is flailing early in the spring, or flailing as soon as it's dry enough and bringing the birds down onto the ground because they eat the larvae, ideally.
Noticing with your cover crops too, I don't see any noxious weeds out here.
No, nope.
Right.
The cover crop outcompetes that.
Yeah, it
Yeah, we
does.
used to have tansy growing and some deadly nightshade, and
Oh, did you really?
we had California thistle. And at this point, it's pretty much been outcompeted.
Yeah, lovely.
Yeah,
Did you mow it?
we do mow it.
Okay.
Yeah, and right now we're contracting sheep, so we parcel out sections. And I love the sheep. I love the animal piece of farming. It feels essential and normal. So right now the sheep are out there and they're eating and they're fertilizing, so we won't have to mow. I mean, they'll eat it all the way down,
Right,
really.
right.
They need to be out by June 1st because we need them out of the orchard 90 days before the first nut drops for food safety. So they're out 90 days. So we can keep them all the way through April and May when it's too wet to mow. They're out there eating and fertilizing.
Whoa,
It's just
that's
so
an animal
brilliant.
business.
I know.
Right.
Yeah.
The shepherds pay you to be able to.
They
bring them
do.
here?
Yeah, they pay 5 cents a ewe a day. It's just a small contribution, but it eliminates a lot of fuel, time, compaction.
They're as old as the one. These are the
Yep.
same plot. Huh?
Yep, this is the same plot. These trees were all planted in 64.
Nice. nice.
Yeah, and the sheep have hardly, I mean, they've dented it, but it's not extreme. They'll keep eating it down.
This is an extreme wet
I know.
spring for these sheep.
I know.
True.
I know.
And is there a dog out there with them?
No.
No, the coyotes, they're leaving them alone.
The coyotes are leaving them alone so far. They don't have babies out there.
Oh, that's good.
That is good. I think they need yeah.
Okay, babies would make.
They would need a guard llama or
Right.
something if they had
Right.
babies. And they do come, you'll see the brown spot there. They come and bed up here at night if there's coyote noises. They'll come in here near the barn at night.
And you market primarily fresh market? How does the market?
Most of it is sold through wholesale distributors,
Oh, okay.
like the Glory Boo Foods and the Hummingbird Wholesales and Azure Standards. And yeah, they do an awesome job at distributing to all the little co-ops and natural food stores. So we just sell wholesale. And that's mainly because we have no full-time employees besides David and I.
Oh, you're kidding.
No, it's just David and I. Yeah, he does the field work and I do all the office. I don't have a concern for how much is being planted in the valley here. Yeah, the concern is more what's being imported. And there's controversy around that because we're getting a lot of Turkish coming in being labeled USD organic.
Really?
Yeah, and it's just really hard for us to compete with Turkish USDA or organic because it truly is two different products. It's completely two different products. So that's the bigger concern is more what's being imported
Right.
than what is being produced within the valley.
Okay. So all your acres are around your house.
Yeah,
Oh, that's kind of
yeah,
convenient too.
yeah. I mean, we live here and we work here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you never forget how much work there is to do.
No, But it's a fine line between work and play.
Yeah.
It's
good.
like hard to
I
tell
like that
sometimes.
attitude.
Yeah.
That's
What am I
great.
doing right now? Am I working or is this free time? I don't know. Another thing that probably shapes the way we do things is it's not like we're the farm is somewhere else and it's this place that we go and we do this thing and then we go home. You know, we live here. Like
that's
this is
right.
it's our
Raising
life.
kids
It's our
here.
exactly. And so the land I feel a certain sense of responsibility and honor and all of that.